Got a cool little project, a little Klon Clone called the Kliche Overdrive. You remember what I spent for this? I think I got a stomp boxes, stomp box parts. That's where I got the kit from. Came with all of the stuff. The only thing it didn't come with is instructions, but it's pretty well labeled as far as where everything goes. So I don't know. I can see which one of the sockets are, but I don't know exactly the wiring, but I assume it's pretty straightforward. But I do need to go ahead and download the instructions just to confirm everything, because I don't want to have to unsolder any of this kind of crap. So, but be a fun little project. All right, so let me go ahead and break this down for you. According to the schematica. All right, so this is supposed to be this bar here. So you can see on this, they have like a, that kind of slice off right here. So that represents that bar. So you got this one over here, and see if that's correct according to what we've got. So we've got, if we set it right here, we'd have the bottom wire go to the right side, which it does. And the top wire right here goes to the left side, which it does. It's just flipped like that. So it'll make more sense when we go like that. Okay, so that again is correct. However, when we went over here, this was a problem. So let's take some of these things out of the equation, because this red wire is getting in our way and it's making it confusing. I wasn't getting any sound and was just having some issues. So according to this schematic, okay, let's take a look at this. The negative terminal was supposed to be going to the far left terminal. That is obviously not correct. It would be the far right terminal. And I also noticed that this right here, if you look closely and just do process of elimination, if you know what you're doing, this right here is actually connected to the tip. So let's just insert a cable into this just so you can see it. That makes more sense. Okay, so those two leads down there that are right here, sorry, it's not focusing, but the one on the bottom, that's going to be your ground. And I believe this one is also going to be for the ground for the terminal for that. But that's what was wrong. So let's look at that. So we know that that is absolutely the input for the tip right here. So that's the input. That's going to be the ground right here. And then this is just going to be for the other terminal for the battery. But as you can see on the paper, they had it wrong. So they had this terminal right here with the bar over here going to this part right here, which it is absolutely not. So this, if you were doing the bar orientation, where the bar was like this, something like that, you would basically be the one, none of the wires I think were correct. Yeah, none of them actually worked. So this one, this is how you want to lay it out. You want the right side on the drive to be on this side that goes to this middle right here. This right here would go to the left side, and then the right one over here, and this is how you would know it's the right one. It's got the bar right here, but that goes to the battery terminal. So that's how you would know if it was actually connected right. The last of the weird things that happened was this guy. Now you see right here where it says this is .1J and then 100. This one says .1J and then 63. So those are the tolerances and whatever, and I had to put that in there. Asked some people on the forums and stuff like that to help me out with this, and they said that this is the trusted one. I know that there were some goofy people saying it's this one. They were just messing around. I don't take offense to that. Go ahead and mess with me. But that's the correct value. So that is the 100 microfarad. So that worked out just fine. So I put that in the spot. It's weird because, again, on the pictures on the website, which I'll put up here in a second, these two pieces had no writing on them. They were just blue. So I thought they were like mystery pieces, but that's it. So if these are the special ingredient for this particular pedal, these little glass diodes right here, they do some pretty cool stuff. So I can see why there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. Most of the things I work with, they only have like one IC, and they don't have a lot of these caps and barely any of this stuff. So this is a pretty complicated build. Now, what's the actual chances of me being able to find a perfect iPhone box? That is literally the print schematic for this. So this is the iPhone 6 or something like that, or maybe the iPhone 8. but it is going to fit absolutely perfect. So I'll be able to wire that sucker up and put it in there. Okay, so the things that you really want to know about this, when they're showing you the builds and they give you the different baggies full of all the different parts with the labels and all this kind of good stuff, like this, you know, you'll see caps, you'll see, you know, all sorts of different things. But the things that they did send, which are pretty obvious, this one says the .1J. Now this one also says .1J, but then this one has the 63, and then this one has 100. So on the board itself, see if we can take a look at the schematic, at the actual physical layout. So when you see this right here, you'll see like, you know, C1 and then you'll see like C2, and then you'll come over here where the caps are and you can see like C1, C2, and they both say 100N. Now again, that's a little confusing for a newbie because you'll see this right here says basically 100, which is pretty much obvious, but they included an extra one of these, which really didn't make any sense. It didn't go anywhere, so they just gave me a free piece for whatever reason. But what was confusing is like this right here was the size of it, and all of these other ones had like 27s and whatever, 9.9 or whatever it was, 2.2s. All that stuff was written on the board, okay, on the physical layouts. I believe that was on this side. So you can see that one had the values as far as C1, C2, whatever, and I think yeah, this is the way you're supposed to look at it. So the ones that you see right here on the physical board on the layout, it would say 100N and it would say 100N. Well, the trick here is, again, the fact that this right here looked totally different than this. That's 100N, that's 100N, and those are both true and these both work and everything like that. But wouldn't you be confused if you were new and say, that's different than that? And the 63 and the 100, I guess, are the voltages. But why would they be different? I don't know. But it doesn't tell you in the instructions anywhere, and there's really no instructions. It's just like a placement on the board, and that's all it is. So anyways, that was the discrepancy of the kit that they gave me. Maybe your kit will actually come with just 2 of these, or maybe just 2 of these. That would make more sense. Everything else was very easy. Basically the orientation of like these, you can see all the negatives are down here, okay? So the stripe is right here, and that indicates the negative side. So you can see the holes are on that side. You can see on this right here. So on the physical layout, you'll see a plus and a minus. So you'll see the plus side up here. It really doesn't show you too much on this. So let's see if on that physical diagram. So you got to print all these things out. This one's a little bit clearer. Just because you can physically see it, but you can see there's a plus there. So even though that the actual physical electrolytic cap, which does have to have a polarity that is important, but the stripe is the big indicator on the actual physical cap itself. So there's a huge stripe there. So it doesn't, you know, that's negative, but that's, you know, the other one's dictating positive, so it's on the other side of the lead, but this is where it's like that. So you would think that it would just be the positive, but negative is actually technically where the orientation of these things are absolutely paramount. These film capacitors are not a big deal. You can put them in any way you want, and also these little tiny guys right here, I think they're electrolytic, or not electrolytic, I can't remember what these are. But anyways, these little, there's 2 of them that are basically, there's one there and there's one there. Those orientations don't matter. The film caps do not matter. The IC chips do matter. On the IC board, you'll see there are these notches. So you'll see this one. This IC chip and this IC chip are both the same. This one is not. So it's kind of almost strange. It's like if you were to direct it in traffic like this, turn right and then turn another right, it's kind of going in that direction. So it looks like that signal flow is essentially going this way, vice versa, whatever. But just pay attention to those different things, okay? Positive and negative, so they all go like this. Now the other thing is the diodes. So you'll see one right there, and then these 2 right there. Those are the same. This is a different one, but they basically do have an orientation to them. Otherwise, they will smoke. Same thing with these guys. These are the germanium diodes. That, I think, is the secret recipe of what this thing is so special about, is these little things. They look like little glass LED or whatever type of things, but they do something special in there. But that's pretty much the layout. The only thing that they went wrong on here is the orientation of the jack. That should not be doing what it is doing. Again, the wires, I'll have to put it up in the schematic exactly how it actually wired to the board, but they had those wires done incorrectly, so I had to figure that out myself. There was no pictures, there was no instructions, and there was no builds, so that's that. But hopefully you guys can get this together. I did have issues with cold solder joints, so I went through the entire thing and just heated up every single one. I think it was actually located on this, where the wiring on the other side of this was not that great. So after I did it, it did start to work. Yeah, it's great. Unbelievable sounding pedal. I can see what all the jazz is about, but this was a fun project. Got everything working and figured everything out. So just before I close this thing up, just wanted to point out a few little small discrepancies from what the design was. Now this thing comes on a circuit board, but you could break it off these tabs if you wanted to order it a different way. But the way that they did this, and the reason that they did this, is because it comes with a template. And so if you break it and mess with it and everything like that, the template won't line up and stuff like that. So they built it for the original specs for the Klon. I have put this into, I don't know which version of an iPhone this is. It probably an iPhone 8, I think, because I had a couple of these from a buddy that gave me these boxes, but I'm not exactly sure because they don't actually say, and there was no paperwork to confirm. But I usually put these things in iPhone boxes because the boxes are actually incredibly strong, and they're real durable. But anyways, on to the build. I put some copper tape everywhere here on both sides, so cut out the slots for this right here and for the circuit board, so it fits perfectly together, and that's what it looks like. That's interesting because I'm not exactly sure why that should be turning on. That shouldn't be turning on, so that means there's probably some kind of a copper that's making continuity with that, so I've got to figure that out so it doesn't burn the battery. But that is something that you probably want to know about if you were to do this on your own. So this is very good news. Had some weird things going on, and I think what I originally had, I had to check all of the points. So there was obviously some kind of a cold solder joint. I don't know if, I think it was actually on this switch where the wires are right here. And then we had some other issues that were not working right, and I just couldn't figure it out. And the pictures here, I got to double check and see if this is actually correct, but you can see from here, you can't see the color codes and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I even looked at another picture, which I'll put in the video right about here, that kind of explains where the wires are going according to that. But they were confusing. I tried to match that, and it didn't work. So there was some kind of a short. So I just ended up just testing each one of these things, just kind of understanding which was tip, which one was sleeve, and then which was the battery terminal. But the good news is, this is the clean sound. So that's bypassed. We crank this thing on there. A little out of tune, but it's got a great sound. So here's basically our treble control. So even all the way down, it actually sounds really good. And then put it about 3 o'clock. That's got a lot of distortion, a lot of gain. So we got all the gain all the way up. Let's back it off. About 50%. You can hear it nice. This is bypassed. Very, very good. Puts it in there. treble all the way down. Put it all the way up. That's got a great sound, even full blast like that. It's a little bit too much. Put it about right here. Either way, it's pretty rad. If we crank the gain all the way up. Again, this is bypassed, so we can see how clean this is. So that's a lot of gain. That's a lot more than I thought it would have. What I really am digging about this particular thing is you can hear the scrape of the pick against a string. And you wouldn't believe how much tone that gives you, but that's when you're picking. If I just go across the string like this, where you, versus scrape the string, you can get that, all those different harmonics. The treble control is beautiful. That is bitchin'.